Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Moxie and this is my team builder for week 2 of the CPC. I think season 6 of the CPC. This week I'm playing my good pal TTM Styx, coach of the Duke Blue Dwebbles. So Styx is a cool guy that I have not played before in league format. He said that he always is in different leagues from Jolt because they don't want to play just because this weird thing they have going on. So, and I'm usually in leagues that Jolt is in. So I've not got the chance to play Styx yet, but now that I'm in the majors of the CPC and Styx is also in the majors, we're not playing, so that's cool. So Styx has got a spooky roster, so I'm hoping to bounce back from my loss last week and get off to a 1-1 start, which would be a lot better than 0-2, because that would be a pretty bad hole that I would be digging myself into. But yeah, I'll just read off Styx's roster and then I will go over my team. So his team is Tapu Koko, Salamence, Ferrothorn, Gengar, Necrozma, Incineroar, Swampert, Mega Pidgeot, Buzzwole, and Alolan Raichu. So, well, also one thing I wanted to mention, so I think I'm going to be doing team builders, at least for the CPC, in separate videos. So I'll upload the team builder the day prior to the battle, so this should be going up on Wednesday, I think, and then the battle on Thursday. So, yeah, just wanted to mention that. So, his team's got a lot of scary mons. It does have Z Raichu and Z Salamence. My roster did actually change a tiny bit. I did make a trade for Diggersby for Alolan Marowak. That was one thing I coordinated during the draft, but it wouldn't go in effect till week 2. And this is week 2, so that's why I no longer have Diggersby on my roster, which you'll see in that little list of my mons there. So yeah, let me just get in my team. So first off, I have this Alolan Marowak. His Tapu Koko is a scary boy. It can pivot and hit hard and just allow him to pressure me with, well, first off with Tapu Koko, but also with some of his other threats like Salamence, Gengar, Mega Pidgeot, Necrozma, and just a lot of his offensive threats can come in after Koko pivots, and that's why I have the helmet on my rack here to at least punish him if he wants to pivot on that, because Volt Switch I will be immune to, but then he can hit me with the U-turn, which will not do much to me. And I can at least do a nice 17-16% with the helmet, which will help chip him down for one or both my win cons in the late game. So the moveset here: Rock Slide, Flare Blitz, Will-O-Wisp, and Knockoff. This is just, I feel like, a pretty good moveset. I can't really hit the Salamence too hard. Rock Slide -1 is not going to be doing too much, so he can Dragon Dance on me, but that's why I would go for the Willow in that scenario to burn him, and then he's not as much of a threat. I mean, he would be at +1, but that's still times half of that if I burn him, so I'm not too scared if I can burn the Salamence. Rock Slide just allows me to hit things that my other moves don't hit. It's like, it still does something to Salamence and does something to the Incineroar. The Blitz is a good stab for a lot of his mons. The Knockoff helps me chip down some things like Swampert, maybe the Necro, I can get rid of its lefties or whatever item it is, maybe Helmet. It's just good to knock off items on this team. It's just a good defensive mon, a good pivot for some things. The defense is so I can live 2 Brave Birds from a max attack Adamant Koko after I take rocks. So Koko could be Adamant or Modest in this game, because if my Floatzel, which is my fastest mon, if that's creeping his next fastest mon, which is his Gengar, then his Koko can creep that, and his Koko can actually go Modest or Adamant or any non-speed boosting nature. So I do have to be careful of that. But I just have that defense because Brave Bird really is the only way Koko can hit me for any good damage. Maybe like a Hidden Power Dark or Ghost or something. He probably just pivots off me, which I at least have the Helmet to help me with that. Helmet's not that useful versus his team overall outside of that. It could be useful for the Buzzwole, but that thing does get Rock Slide and Earthquake, which are both non-contact moves, so Helmet isn't too helpful there, but it can be helpful at least to switch in on the Buzzwole, because you might expect me to even go into Garchomp as a safer switch, so I might even go for like an Ice Punch, which would hit the Helmet, so that's good. Also, like if Mance is going for like an Air Lace or a Dragon Claw or something, or like a Fly, then that will get hit by Helmet. Or also like Ferrothorn if that comes, but I don't expect Ferrothorn. Then the Spit F, so I can live a Hurricane from Mega Pidgeot after Rocks. That is from Timid Mega Pidgeot. He could maybe go Modest if he doesn't really care about Floatzel or Thundurus, but I think he wants to go Timid to outspeed those, but this is still just for Timid Mega Pidgeot. Then I still have 104 in my attack, just allow me to hit somewhat hard. I mean, I don't have the thick clubs, so I'm not hitting anywhere near as hard as I would if I did, but I feel like the Helmet's still a good item to just allow me to get some damage on the Tapu Koko there. So next off we have Eric, which is one of my win cons here. So this is a Choice Scarf set with Volt Switch, HP Flying, Thunderbolt, and Sludge Bomb. Originally I was Life Orb with 3 attacks and Agility. So that was a nice win con, because if I get a +2 speed, then I I hit a lot of his things still hard with the Life Orb boost, and I have pretty good coverage. It was just in the Volt Switch slot there. So I had good coverage and really was able to hit hard and be a nice win con, but I thought I'm not going to be able to keep rocks off the field super reliably, and I feel like Thundurus doesn't have an amazing set of opportunities, and my team doesn't have any good supporting ways to prevent or to give Thundurus more setup options. So it felt like I wouldn't be able to come in on rocks, set up, take a hit, and still be healthy enough to live several hits of my Life Orb. So that's why I changed this to Scarf, because I feel like I still need some speed, and this can outspeed a Scarf Gengar, outspeed Koko, outspeed a +1 Mence. It's just nice. It's a good pivot. And there's one Mon that is immune to Electric, which is his Swampert, which might come, might not. I'm kind of on the fence about that. I don't really have Grass Knot or any other coverage for that, but Hidden Power Flying still does something. And I mean, I feel like I don't need it. I feel like some other Mons on my team can deal with it, like my Reinforcements, like my Garchomp quinking it down, like Medi can deal with it pretty well. So that's why I'm not super concerned, and if it is low enough, I can pick it off with the Hidden Power Flying. So yeah, then the speed is just for a max speed Timid Gengar, or the Alolan Raichu. They are both at 110. So yeah, it's just a nice pivot, nice Scarf Boy. Next we got my mixed defensive Umbreon, Wish, Protect, Foul Play, and Hidden Power Flying. That last move is obviously for the Buzzwole. I just want that thing coming in for free. Buzzwole is scary to my team. I don't have the best checks to it. I do have Marowak, which is great for its stabs, but it does get other coverage, so I do have to be wary of that. Then it is still just scary in general. I mean, Thunder is also good for its stabs, but it gets Ice Punch, it gets Rock Slide. Garchomp is decent for its stabs, but Ice Punch is a thing. So Buzzwole's a scary boy. It's someone coming in for free. Foul Play does like did something with my mouse. That was weird. Foul Play does like a chunk, like maybe like 15-20%, but not like a lot. Hidden Power Flying might be able to 2KO him, so that's why I have that. The Spidef can live 2 Focus Blasts from a Scarf Gengar with my leftovers there, so even if I'm max, I don't live 2 Life Orb Focus Blasts, which I wanted to invest for, but couldn't, so I feel like it's still pretty good compromise, as it still gives me a good amount of physical bulk to take hits from stuff like Mence, from maybe Fairy Thorn if that comes, from the Incineroar, which I do need a good switch into, which this is pretty good. Does not get 2KO'd by a non-boosting item Incineroar, so that's good. Also takes hits from Swampert pretty well, so yeah. It also is a pretty good check to make a Pidgeot. Not amazing, it still does a good chunk, like almost half, but I don't get 2KO'd, and I can at least heal up versus that. I don't have Toxic on this, so I can't weaken it down and just stall versus that, but I do have Toxic on something else in my team. But this is still just a good bulky Mon, a good, I've said pivot for all my Mons. This still can be a decent pivot into some things. You can still maybe pass on a Wish and something like Marowak or Garchomp maybe. But this is still a good fat boy that takes hits from a lot of things on the team pretty well. So even the Koko, like it needs to be a Life Orb to maybe 2KO me. Or I think a Life Orb is like maybe a 2KO. I think Specs doesn't blame 2KOs, but like I can actually take hits from Koko pretty well, and if I can get a Toxic on Koko, then I can beat that with Umbreon hopefully. So next we got my Reinforcement Psychic Focus Blast, recovering Toxic. Focus Blast is a bad move, I do acknowledge that, but I feel like I kind of need to bring it. I feel like it's great coverage, hits everything that Psychic doesn't. Psychic hits really most things on this team. Focus Blast hits the Ferrothorn and Incineroar just for some boosted coverage there. Doesn't really hit the Necro too hard, but I can Toxic that, and I don't think he has the room to carry Sub, so I'm not too worried about that. And Psychic still does some damage to Necro, so I'm not insanely worried about that. The Tenga Berry is really just for Buzzwole. I guess it also could allow me to take like a U-turn from Pidgeot or Incineroar or Koko better, as opposed, but I don't I might need to take that, but it won't be doing too much damage to me anyways. Still, the Tango is mainly for the Buzzwole. That way, I'm not scared out by it, by a bug move, and I don't have the best switch-ins to it. I mean, again, Marowak, but again, coverage, So, kind of scared about the Buzzwole, so Tango just helps me there. I would have loved to carry lefties on this, just to help me kind of be bulkier almost. Not actually to boost my defensive stats, but, just to help its longevity in this game. But Buzzwole is a scary boy, so I need to prep accordingly for that. So the defense is so it can live an Adamant and Z-Fly from Salamence. I cannot invest enough to live a +1 Jolly Z-Fly, but I can still live an Adamant Z-Fly, so I don't necessarily need to be scared out. If it does come in against me, I can go for Psychic, do some decent damage, which can allow my my Scarfed Thundurus or my Medicham to pick it off if it does Dragon Dance in my face. Then the Spidef also allows me to take 2 Hurricanes from a timid Mega Pidgeot, so pretty good mixed bulk here. That's why I don't have much HP, because naturally my defense and Spidef are lower, so if I invest more, that'll cause a bigger decrease in the damage calc. That's why I'm not investing too much in my my naturally higher HP stat there. That's why I'm minimizing my investment there, but still just this in general investment allows me to live with the 2 hits that I specified there. So it's just a good Pokemon to take on his team fairly well. This and my Umbreon do pair pretty well. This can hopefully Toxic some things to help out my Umbreon and help my Umbreon just stall and kind of beat him out if I need to. And Toxic's just nice in general for a lot of things, and it's just a good Pokemon that can hopefully be a nice lure for the Buzzwole there. So next we got my Mega Medicham, which is a potential win con. Really, this or my Thunder, so the 2 win cons. So Fake Out, Bullet Punch, Power Punch, and Zen Headbutt. So this thing with the Fake Out and Bullet Punch, it means a lot of his faster mons aren't too threatening, at least in terms of checking me. Because if I can bring this thing in, I can Fake Out, Bullet Punch, stuff like the Koko, the Mega Pidgeot, which that combo does over half to both of them, which is great. Gengar can't hit with a Fake Out, but Bullet Punch does almost half anyway, so if I can get to +2, then after Rocks, will actually get OHKO'd by Bullet Punch. And if I can get some more chip on him, then after a +1, I can OHK him. Or at least knock him out with a Bullet Punch. Not OHK, but like if I get some more chip, then he goes down to Bullet Punch, a +1. So it's just a nice set. This thing can set up on a lot of things. If Ferrothorn comes, I can Power Punch, do that, and I get good damage on them. They're decent damage while still boosting. I don't really expect Ferrothorn, but still I can maybe pick off like a weakened Swampert or Necro and with a Power Punch and then get a boost, and then if the rest of his team is low enough, which hopefully stuff like my Marowak and like Thundurus can chip them down into range, then Bullet Punch can pick them all off, which is great. And then usually Bullet Punch hits, for the most part, all the things that are faster than me. Maybe barring the Raichu, because that thing Bullet Punch does, or that thing resists Bullet Punch. I kept mixing how I wanted to say that. But that thing's still not super bulky in general, and I don't know if I expect that. I don't think it has the greatest matchup. Doesn't have a bad one, doesn't have a good one, so I don't really expect the Raichu too much. I feel like he's better mons, but it's definitely got some viability with the electric terrain with the Koko there. Then Zen Headbutt gives me some power. Originally I had Psycho Cut, but Zen Headbutt hits the Buzzwole for more damage, which, I mean, obviously it does, but Psycho Cut doesn't quite OHKO, and Zen Headbutt does after Rocks if he has like no bulk, so that might come into play. So I feel like I do need that extra power from Zen Headbutt. I wanted to carry Psycho Cut just because I wanted to be safe and didn't want to risk it, but I'm not really clicking Zen Headbutt versus many things anyways. Like it's my most powerful move versus like Necro, Swampert, and Buzzwole, but like versus Ferrothorn, Incineroar, which I outspeed, I can click Power Punch, and then versus like everything else is faster than me, so I just be clicking Fake Out and Bullet Punch. And then also, I could carry Ice Punch for the mints, but at least Speed Tie and Zen Headbutt does a lot, and if I can win the Speed Tie, Zen Headbutt, and then he sets up, then I can Soul Bullet Punch, that does a lot too. So, like, those 2 attacks, I think after Rocks it might OHKO. If he intimidates me, maybe not, but those 2 do a lot in general, so that's why I'm alright with carrying Zen Headbutt and not carrying Ice Punch there. So this is just a nice potential win con. This and Fundy can hopefully work together to clean up in the late game. And last but not least, we have James the Garchomp here. I realized I forgot to go over all the nicknames. I'll do it after I explain Garchomp set here. So Garchomp is a cool set. This is a set that is kind of similar to what Gypsy brings, just with Z move and then Rocks. And a pretty good lead. I might lead with this thing. I might not though. We'll see how the matchup goes. But the speed on this thing is for the for max speed Jolly Salamence. That's also what the speed on Medicham was, just to speed tie that. Then yeah, the HP, so it can live 2 leech lives from Adamant Buzzwole, so it's gonna be a decent switch into that, and also get some rough skin on that. Earthquake, Outrage hits pretty much everything I need on his team. I could have carried some other coverage, like maybe Fire Fang for Ferrothorn if I was really scared, but I didn't think I'd comment. I don't think I need it. I could have carried Air Release for the Buzzwole, which was definitely a very viable option. But in the end, I went for Poison Jab, which does seem kind of weird on the surface, because really doesn't really hit anything in particular. I mean, it hits Koko, but I have Earthquake anyways. That's in case he brings a Koko that has the Air Balloon, which then would be immune to both my stabs, which I feel like it's a cool little tech that he could bring. I feel like he's kind of similar to Jolt in how he preps and plays, or at least how he approaches games, and I feel like that's something that Jolt could do. I'm at least saying this because I've never played Styx in the past. I've watched some of his videos and some of his team builders, and I feel like he could bring something like that. And while Poison Jab, it's a little bit risky just because like he has, it's kind of useless really versus everything else in his team. I mean, maybe I can click it first. Maybe if like Mega Pidgeot's low, then I can click that to pick him off. That way I don't get locked into Outrage. Or maybe if I think he might go into Koko, predicting Outrage or Dragon Claw. Maybe that could be viable, but I feel like he could bring the Balloon Coco. It's also not one of his Z users, so he's not gonna bring a Z Crystal on that. So he might bring a Balloon or something on the Coco, in which case Poison Jab could be useful. Again, I will have to predict that switch, so that will be kind of tricky. But I feel like I might be able to call that, and if I do, that'd be a great play. If I don't, it's alright. I mean, I could have carried Air Release as a safer option for Buzzwole, but I mean, I do at least have the Z Outrage, which hits that thing hard, and also just Outrage in general does a good chunk. So I feel like I didn't need Air Release, and Poison Jab could be cool. Air Release was probably more useful overall. Maybe something else like Sub or Dragon Claw could have been useful in that last slot. But Poison Jab could be useful in a very in a tricky situation where I think he is Balloon Coco, or if I know he is, then he probably won't expect that, because Poison Jab is pretty useless versus the rest of his team. So I mean, if I know it's Balloon Coco, then that thing is a pretty reliable switch into Garchomp. So Poison Jab's just there for Coco, which is still pretty scary for the rest of my team, and I do need damage on Coco for both my Thundurus and my Medicham to sweep late game. I mean, I do Sludge Bomb on Thundurus, but I'm not likely to spam that versus his team. I mean, if he brings, like, if Ferrothorn's gone or really low, and the rest of his team doesn't really release his neutral to poison, maybe I can spam Sludge Bomb, but not too likely. Probably Thunderbolt's my move in the late game. But yeah, that is the team there. For the nicknames that I didn't go over, I'll explain them. So these are all nicknames of players from the reality TV show Survivor. So it's a great show, love it. So I think James, Garchomp I brought last week, so this is James. Jeff Probst is the host, and he's powerful. That's why Maddie. Amanda I brought last week. I explained in the thing. Eliza from season 9 and 16. I've only seen 16, but she's cool. Eric, I explained last week, but he's a cool guy from season 16 and 26. And then Jonathan Penner from season 13, 16, and 25. I've seen all three, and he's a cool guy. So these are my nicknames and my Survivor boys here. So this is the team. The battle will go up tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Peace out.